Greetings and welcome to Valley View Mall. Today we're having an artifact show being sponsored by Mississippi Valley Archaeological Center. And there's a group of local collectors that come around and bring some of the artifacts that have been found in western Wisconsin. I started collecting probably about 25, 30 years ago when my children were still in high school. They had a school teacher by the name of Harlan Stone, who was very instrumental in archaeology as far as teaching it to the younger generations. Harlan, I said, was a Vietnam veteran, and kind of a hobby for him was to walk the fields and report sites that he had found here to the university. One of the most important things people have to do when you do any type of archaeology is document what you find. We've had so many pieces that'll be brought in as something that Grandpa found. He maybe got it at an auction, or uncle or aunt brought it one time, and the history is lost. The Native American people, when they were here in Wisconsin, they were the top predators, you could say, the computer people of their generation. Everybody says all the Native Americans were just on the landscape here and they moved on and that was it. The history that they left behind is still yet to be explored. The records were not written. Everything was handed down. When the Europeans brought diseases into here, a lot of the storytellers probably passed away. So a lot of the history is lost. So through archaeology, like the university has here, I said, we can recover some of this lost history. I said, when I first started collecting artifacts, the first artifact I came up with was this little knife piece, which I did not even recognize as a knife piece at the time. But I said, the school teacher in Arcadia, Harlan, said, this is a piece of silicified sandstone. And he says, it's an important piece of history. He says, that it should be documented. Well, I said, if he could find a piece, I said, I and the children, we went out, I said, we did find a few pieces. And from that, I said, I learned to share my finds here at the university. And we went on to dig a few excavations with them and attend many lectures. Education is an important part of archaeology. The people that come here to study in La Crosse, I said, are probably some of the best archaeologists you're going to find in the country. They come up here with hands-on technology and they're instrumental in getting the groundwork in for people to move on into this field. I says, we have found many artifacts in western Wisconsin from woodland period, Mississippian period, back into the Paleo period. You can find mastodon bones and trilobites. That's the word I couldn't find. Trilobites here still, because Wisconsin was all underwater at one time. But I said, there is more to the history than what we see on top of the surface. Under our feet, I said, due to new technology, I said, carbon-14 now has been out for a number of years. But now we have magnetometry, we use ground-penetrating radar. We can study small pollen samples. We can analyze the interiors of pot shards to see what was being cooked, what was being saved or preserved. I said, the people that were in Wisconsin knew a lot of the landscape. They knew a lot about the medicine and the herbs and stuff that we have no concept of what was being lost. Our grandfathers came here, they plowed the land, they found a few artifacts, they went over mounds, not realizing what they were destroying. We still go out today, I said, and we'll find artifacts. They're out of context. They don't tell us much. They can tell us what time period they maybe were there, but how did they get there? With the artifact show here in La Crosse, we try to inspire curiosity. People will come here to look at something and find it. Why can't I find a piece? Or where can I find a piece? Or this is probably something like Grandma and Grandpa used to have. So I said, we try to inspire people to document stuff, share their knowledge. More information is lost from not sharing than from telling someone. If you don't tell someone, it's not being found at all. It's lost. So remember to document everything you find. Don't be afraid to report it to the archaeology department in your local area. I said, the archaeologists will not put it on the front page of the local newspaper that John Brown found something in his front yard and 16 people from Chicago are there next day digging in your front yard. That isn't going to happen. They use it for the academic purposes. We could see how the trade network worked, how the people moved in and out of an area, where they came from, what time period were they here, which tradition or culture were here. Was it a campsite? Was it just a little hunting area? Was it a whole village? The only way we can find out is by reading the soil and what's in the structure. So unless people come around and help share their information, which in return is returned to you. Because I said there's many archaeological organizations, Wisconsin Archaeological Society, you can be a member of that. They send you an informational journal. I probably have one here someplace. Similar to this, you get a journal from them every year. I said sometimes twice a year, and it tells you about what's ongoing in archaeology in the state and then reanalysis of older sites. So the wisdom you can learn is just unreal. I said the stuff that you can get into is beyond imagination. You can come up with a piece of float copper like this. You walk around, you find an old stone, you say, what could this possibly be? It's a stromatolite, 500 million, 200 million years old, no problem. I said, but you have to know what you're looking at. If you don't talk to the people at the university, you'll never know. You have to document stuff. Here's an example of a nice paleo knife. This piece, I said, was found in a garage after the father had passed away. Grandchildren, unfortunately, took it to school, dropped it, and that's been glued back together. But it's 10,000 BC. It's an old, archaic, or paleo knife piece. No documentation. All we know is that it was found in a garage. We know which culture made it, but there's no history. Was it a whole village site? Was it just an individual walking by and left it behind? Did somebody get killed in an accident? We don't know. So whenever you find something, document it. You get a chance, the archaeology department has an annual show here at Valley View Mall. It's usually the first Saturday of March. We try to make it that way. You can find their website, get online, attend these shows, bring in your artifacts for identification, and don't be afraid to ask questions. The only dumb question is the question you don't ask. And I can be a vouch for that. There's a few dumb ones I haven't asked myself. So until next time, have a good time when you do a little exploring yourself. Remember to get permission and share what you know, because if you do not document it, it'll be lost forever.
Hi, this is Jay Bittner, Elise Bittner, and Olivia Bittner, my daughters. And I've been collecting artifacts for about 30 years. I first started when I was hunting turkeys. I got bored and started digging in the dirt with my knife in a field, just for the heck of it. And out popped up a thumb scraper, which I thought was really cool. Well, I ended up taking that to Jim Gallagher, who I first met and probably 30 years ago. And he told me it was a thumb scraper, and I've been fascinated with artifacts ever since. I'm from southern Buffalo County, Fountain City area. We have a great area to look, many farms that we ask permission from.
What have been some favorite memories or some really interesting things you found?
We found quite a few broken points. We found axes all in one field. We have about 6 axes we found from one field. And that's pretty significant for this area. And my girls love looking with me all the time. They love going out, walking the fields.
What are some things you've learned about archaeology as you have done it avocationally?
I've learned how to properly document artifacts, how to record them, how to map them, and the importance of documenting them for future studies and educational purposes.
So what are some of your favorite things to share when you're talking to other people about archaeology? or when you're, here at an event like this, what are some favorite things you like sharing with people about archaeology and what you found?
This, first of all, meeting different people, see what they find, compared to what you find. There's different parts of Wisconsin. You'll find different items all around the state, and it's just nice and it's unusual, exciting.
And kind of how far across the state have those connections taken you? Do you know people like from northern Wisconsin over farther east near Milwaukee? Has it kind of been all over?
It's been all over, mostly eastern Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin. It's nice to just to meet different people and what they do and like what they kind of find. And
anything else you'd like to share with us about your experience with archaeology?
I appreciate MVAC for all the help they do and everything they do. They support people like me, that want to help them out, and at the same time, we have enjoy looking for artifacts and arrowheads.
Hi, I'm Elise Bittner, and when I went looking for flakes for once, I was with my grandpa, and we were out there, and I was messing with the dirt, and then I find this tiny little flake, and then I started like screaming, "Grandpa, Grandpa!" So then I've always loved going with my dad, and whenever it rains, and the fields are plowed, then we'll go looking. Usually we'll find stuff. Some days we're just not lucky. And
so what is it like looking for artifacts in the field? Do you have to look really carefully, or you kind of use your eagle eyes to see what you can find?
yes, you can't just go running around expecting to find stuff.